We invited 23 entrepreneurs to a villa in Bali to show them how we're scaling our business to multi-six figures a month. I spoke to them about how to fully embody the guru or mentor identity and why this is actually the most impactful thing you can do as an info biz owner. I dive deep into learning psychology and how to hack into human habits using just your Instagram stories. This is a unique form of leverage if used correctly. Get stuck in and take notes. The people sat in these seats paid a lot of money to be there.
Hello mate, how are you? So I'll start with a question. You're not allowed to answer this because we've just spoken about this. What profession has the lowest testosterone males? Testosterone males. Divers. Why? Lowest testosterone males.
Where is this going?
Teachers. Okay, so we're all in, a lot of us are in kind of the education space, we say. So the lowest testosterone education profession is a teacher.
Weren't you a teacher for many years?
I was a teacher. I was a teacher for many years. I was also a vegan, so you can imagine what I was like a while ago. So, teacher versus, now I wanted to, basically everything we're going to do here, we're going to look at educational psychology, and the goal is that you can have more impact and get better results by leveraging being a guru / a mentor. So this is low leverage. Being a teacher is very, very, very low leverage, and you have low testosterone. So we don't want to optimize for that. We want to optimize for being a guru or being a mentor. And I want to go through the psychology of it and why that's important. So I'll talk to you a little bit about, I know a lot of you, and maybe some of you don't know my backstory. So I had an interesting experience where I was simultaneously a teacher and I was also a guru at the same time in two different realms. So I was teaching secondary education, lots of kids who were making fun of me every day. And then I was also a DJ at the same time. And I had two different names because I was trying to separate the two. I had two kind of like separate lives going on. Now, when you're kind of that guru status, people like your music, people are kind of coming up to you, you'll go to events, you're on stage, people are like, hey, Tom, please, will you sleep with my girlfriend? I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. Then I go into school the next day and someone's going, a 12-year-old says, Tom, you have a receding hairline. How's that feeling? So it's like, it's this balance of you're feeling like you're a guru and then a 12-year-old making fun of you at the same time. So I could really felt like this disparity between the two. Now, this is much, much higher leverage. So I want to talk about the 3 I's. So as with all good gurus, you want to have a third eye, okay? So the third eye of being a guru, you can imagine this. There we are, a little Illuminati thing to help you remember. So it's the 3 I's of being a guru. Now, if you're a guru or you're a mentor, why are you a guru? What do people come to you for? Why would people come for you? Experience? Specialized advice? Knowledge?
Status. Good point.
Association? Status?
Such a good point.
Yeah, good. So exactly, that's a really good point actually. So the difference between a teacher is very good at implementation. Okay, side by side, that is good. There's a place for that. A guru, there's space. There's distance from where that person is and where you are. And we want to leverage that space because that space, so if I drop a pen from here, it like just patters on the floor. If I create distance and space, it's going to have way more impact as it hits the floor. Excuse my handwriting. So impact, as a guru, as a mentor, is impact and results. That's what we're optimizing for. Now, everything we do is for that. So frameworks, coaching, whatever it is, one-to-one calls, we all just made it up. But the reason we do that is to have an impact on people. So the question is, how can we leverage psychology to have a deeper impact on people and kind of save us time as well? Save us time, save us energy. But if we're maximizing impact, no one cares. It's like James said yesterday. He's like, the more they pay me, the less they get. That's not actually, in my opinion, that's not actually true. It's the more they get, but it's the less kind of effort from him because it's his nuanced experience that actually makes a big impact. So they get more impact, even though it might seem like less time, etc. It's actually more. So we have 3 I's of being a guru / a mentor, of how we can create an impact. Now, the first one is infrastructure. The second one is implementation. And then I'll save the third one for now. So we've spoken about this across the whole weekend. How can we build infrastructure to create impact? So when someone comes to you as a guru, that's your course. That's the material, that's the quick wins. This is huge leverage. We can save our time by creating infrastructure that helps them get quick wins, whatever it is. Frameworks, principles, infrastructure. That's high leverage. We need that as a guru or a mentor. Now, the second one is implementation. This is where someone like a CSM comes in. This is someone who can actually help people apply the infrastructure. Now, the third one, people don't often know, and this is the real third eye Illuminati shit from being a guru. So when you were a kid, someone perhaps can say, when you were a kid, how do you learn? When you were like a little child, how do kids learn? Watching? Imitating. So kids learn by imitation. And it's actually something, I think it's like 85% of your learning as a child is 85% imitation. Now, when you turn into an adult, it changes a bit, but not in a huge way. 50 to 55% of your learning is through imitation. So the most important thing, actually around 50% of the work you do as a mentor or a guru, is your integrity. Okay? It's your integrity. This is the most important thing. As a guru, and I'm sure you've heard this, if you ever signed up for a program, if you've ever, let's say with Darren as well, the value you get from him, yes, is inside the program, but also is how he constantly shows up. He's posting every week a podcast, every day on social media. Integrity. Everything, all of his infrastructure, everything that he implements, he's integral with it. You see it. And that's actually going to be 50% of the impact that he has is the stuff you didn't pay for. But it takes you paying for it to actually feel that impact. Okay? It's because of who he is. So these are like the 3 things that are actually going to create impact. Now, talking about leverage, how much time? If we've got infrastructure, we've got CSM, and we're being integral, how much time as a guru do you need to spend? Like if we're using that model? Not a great deal. Not a great deal. But this is where a lot of people go wrong is, again, we want to have this in place so that we can have more impact. And sometimes less is more. Less is more. If this is in place, and you're showing up as who you said you are, it's just going to be on those group calls, those one-liners, things like that really, really make the difference, okay? And because the integrity is literally the biggest part. 50% of it is your integrity as a guru. Now, I wanted to draw this, so we can I haven't ever drawn this before, so we'll see how this works. I would consider like all of this setup as, if you want kind of like practical, this is kind of like the group coaching, okay? This is like a group coaching model. Infrastructure, implementation, integrity, and then maybe you have some group coaching calls twice a week. That's when you can have the real impact. Now, as you get down here, and as people pay for like, let's say one-to-ones and really close access to you, we can give them more time. We can give them more time. However, what I would consider this triangle as, and again, going on the Illuminati theme, that's funny that it actually looks like I didn't realize that, it looks like the pyramid. So this is about, again, it's impact. So as James said yesterday, it's like people get less, but they have more impact. So this is your depth of knowledge. So with the group programs, usually the infrastructure and this can solve most of the people's problems. And it's as they want to get closer to you, your expertise gets wider. This is like your most deep kind of, esoteric knowledge and everything. That's why someone's going to pay you one-to-one, because they're going to come with you with one problem, and because of your expertise, your nuance, your experience, you're going to be able to just answer that in a sentence. Okay, and that's what they're paying for. It's impact. It's still not necessarily time, even though it's one-to-one. Okay. The reason that works, the reason proximity works, is you have to live like the guru-mentor mentality. You have to be it. So you can't be going for coffees with people and like giving them free advice. You're a guru. Your time is valuable. Your proximity. If you're paying for group coaching all the way for that one-to-one bespoke advice, you have to live it. You have to keep in your personal life as well. You have to do a bit of that proximity effect for it to really work. And then that's when you really can leverage this, because this is infinite leverage. No time was required for any of this, for those 3 I's. So Happy to answer any questions on that. I then just want to give you a quick actual kind of like coaching framework as well, and kind of actually understand the psychology of when someone joins you, what experiences they go through, and then how you can position your offer to actually maximize that.
All right.
I think to Ryan's point as well, if you look at someone like Russell Brunson, he has his book, like Expert Secrets, let's say, and then he has all the way up to his one-to-one like mastermind, and that's like $7. It's the same information, literally the same information, but then you can then buy a course, which is a bit more money, and then you can go join one of the events. And then if you actually want to work with him, it's like $1 million a year. Mm-hmm. It's the same information, it's just he's with you implementing it. So I think that's exactly, yeah.
It's like I'll give away 95% of it through my content. Mm-hmm. So even if, like my objective is if someone lands my page, they can transform their life just by reading one of my posts.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I think this is interesting to go back off what Ryan said. So this is a framework you can use, and this is going to help you understand how people actually learn as well. So often, if we're just giving people like info and data and knowledge, they just have to just like consume it, okay? What they're paying for is like the actual connecting it to their existing problems and the implementation. So this is, I call this like C's and T's of coaching or C's and T's of consulting. This is how like, we're getting people from A to B. Now, when people are learning, they don't learn in a linear way like this. They actually learn in what I call like growth cycles as well. So to get from like your main A to B, like this is your main offer, let's say, A to B, it's not just information, like walk it down and then you've transformed. You're gonna go through something called like growth cycles, these. You're maybe gonna go through 4 growth cycles. And we need to split this up rather than just view it as this very linear course. Do this, do this, do this, do this. It's not how people learn. So this is like the C's and T's of consulting. This is how people actually learn, and then we're going to look at the time frame of how people learn as well. And this actually requires them to take action, because when people take action, that's when they actually like embed it into their nervous system, and they've actually changed. So the first thing with your offer is concepts. Okay, so you introduce a concept. That's why people come to you, you have information, great. Concept. Now, the next thing you want to do is, as a coach or as a mentor, you connect the new concept that they haven't come across before to an existing problem. So new concept, connect it to an existing problem. From there, we want to co-create an action plan. Okay, so there's probably another C in here as well, which is context. So it's like connection context here. Problem, okay, connect it, and then you want to co-create an action plan. Now, you want to give people autonomy over their learning, because when people are autonomous over their learning and they help build the plan themselves, that's when they actually take action. It's that whole thing, if you want someone to do something, make it think it was their idea. Okay, so if you just give them frameworks like, do it, you haven't done it. People are like, oh, it doesn't feel aligned, and like all that stuff. So if you can help with like co-creating a plan, that's going to be really powerful. So yes, you have the end destination in mind, but help them co-create the plan. And like the way I like to think of that is you want to co-create a plan. Who's seen something like this? It's the egg analogy before. So this is your comfort zone, okay? This is your panic zone, and then this is your growth zone. So if you just tell them, go ahead, good luck, do it, here's information, you're going to put people into the panic zone, and then they're not going to take action. If you don't give them some guidance, they're just going to stay in the comfort zone. So we want to co-create a plan, which is like unique, bespoke to them, and then that puts them in the growth zone. When people are in the growth zone, they feel safe and they can actually take action as well. So new concept, connect it to an existing problem, co-create an action plan so they can make a change. Now, this is the timeline of the whole offer, okay? And we're gonna have like all of these different concepts that we're introducing across the timeline of the whole offer. Now, this is the timeline for an individual growth cycle. So the new concept, you do that right away. Here we are, here's some information. Okay, connect it to an existing problem. Okay, there we are, connected. Let's create an action plan. Okay, maybe you do that on a one-to-one call, you do it on a group call. So the C's only go up to here. This is the first bit of the learning. This is where it's like acceleration, it's top heavy. And this is just how people learn. So from there, you want to, after you've given them the plan, you want to give them a bit of autonomy, and that's when you have trainings. That's when maybe you have course material. So you go, hey, we've co-created an action plan. I have these resources that you can lean on, okay? These are resources you can lean on. Go back, dip in, dip out, send me some messages, some training here. And you want to give them the space to actually go away and do the trainings themselves and start taking action. Now, at this point, this is when they've actually started taking action on things. Here was all theoretical. This was all theoretical. Now they're actually starting to take action. from the trainings, okay? So the next stage, and this is like the biggest two stage, you need them to go away and make mistakes. We learn through mistakes. People often feel bad with like someone in their program, like, oh, they did it wrong, it wasn't perfect. Awesome, that's really good. You want to encourage people to put something out and make a mistake, because they learn more from that mistake than you kind of telling them, do it like this was wrong, it's too rigid. They haven't actually learned. And I think this is, again, where you want to leverage being the guru. You want to create that space. It's like, hey, we've done all this. You had access to me. Go away. Do your thing. Make mistakes. Fail. Fall on your face. And you want to create a bit of distance there as well. You don't want to handheld. Because the temptation here, as people are in the growth zone, they're going to be looking back like, oh, actually, what about this? And you want them to go, no, go away. I'm not here now. There's your trainings. You have the trainings you can lean on.
That's the codependency as well developing, right?
Yeah, yeah. And that brings on to the next T here, which is tune. So they've gone away, they've taken action, they come back with some results. That's when you fine tune it. And that's your job to come back, tune it right up. After you've done some tuning, a few reiterations, the final T over here, transformation. That's when they've actually transformed. Transformation doesn't happen just through giving someone knowledge. Otherwise, we'd all be just billionaires because we've read a book. You know, so you have to allow people to go through this learning cycle. You have to allow people to fail. You actually want to embed it into your offer that you're going to fail here. That means they're going to learn. So you actually want to give them the chance to fail. It's really, really important. And from a timeline perspective, like let's say you literally do this within like 2 or 3 days, this first stage. You need to give people a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Yeah, I think that's a good chunk of it. Happy to answer any questions here, but I think
the multiple cycles you didn't.
Yeah, and that's the multiple cycles. So this is how it's going to roll, right? It's like do this each time. Break your offer. When you're designing your offer, rather than thinking in linear modules, it's like think in terms of these growth cycles. Really go through like the psychology of how people are going to learn. And that's why people always say doing one-to-one is really good first, because it actually teaches you more than it teaches them. Because you understand and you'd be like, oh, shit, I thought they were going to get from here to here right away, but actually this was my whole program, like maybe, you know, so you actually learn more about what the real pains people had, your avatar has. So yeah, there's multiple of those. And I think all of that in the context of being a guru, leveraging that distance. You know, like yourself, people really respect you. You've been in the industry forever. People really respect you, and I know you're doing a lot of the one-to-ones at the moment as well. Leverage that distance, leverage that guru identity, and allow people, through how you're showing up, when they're at this stage here, when they're going through the trainings, where they want a bit of hand-holding, leverage that space, and that's actually going to get them better results. So, yeah, happy to answer any questions of how you might actually specifically implement it. Yes?
Yeah, Tom, this has been super helpful. From your expertise, so from the day I closed them, what would the journey look like if you was obviously being in my shoes for marketing avatars and artificer? You just paid $4,000. Probably would do the onboarding after I closed it. Well, I'd love to see what your thought process would be for like the first 1 to 2 weeks.
What's the biggest fear they have of working with you?
Can they get the outcome?
Okay. Okay, and what's the fear that they have personally that would be stopping them from getting that outcome? What's the fear that, so yeah, they're scared they won't get the outcome, but what's the fear they have personally that would hinder them from getting it? Leaving the 9 to 5. Okay, so from your experience of going through that yourself, what was the thing that actually enabled you to kind of like expand in a way that made you believe getting out of a 9 to 5 was possible? Mindset. So the first thing, So it's the first thing, and again, this is particularly with the B2C offers, it usually is a mindset module. You can get them a quick win. So what I would do in that instance is like, mindset module, this is the first thing you need to do, literally after the onboarding call. This is going to take you 90 minutes, set aside some time, and then I would do a whole thing where you like do a bit of the kind of like change your thoughts, change your life vibe, a little bit kind of like the woo-woo stuff, clear vision, get them to write out a vision, and then say, right, your homework for the next week, before we look at any of the trainings, I want you to listen to, read your vision every morning, every night. And the mental shift that they will have from doing that, as I'm sure a lot of us have done similar exercises, will be huge.
Sam Ovens effect.
Sam Ovens effect, the alchemy of self, right? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
You're a master at pre-handling objections. We were speaking yesterday, you're a master with like the NLP. So you've got your sales call structure where you know that you're pre-handling the objections within the sales call. Do that within your offer as well. Your offer is now the next sales call. You're constantly reselling them.
always reselling.
So it's like biggest fear, straight away, quick win, done. Then you want to future pace it. So we have these modules, we have this training. This is how it's going to work. At this stage, you'll probably be feeling X, Y, and Z. That's normal. However, from doing this, you'll be at this stage. Future pace it. So they have that clear idea of like, because the reason that guy's not showing up is like the fear is overwhelming now. And he's like, oh, I'm speaking this, oh, it's not going to work, blah, blah, blah. Restrictive. So it's like, how can you just, like a sales call, pre-handle those fear objections that will come up when they're actually working with you, and then use modules, whatever it is. So for example, a big thing for us is we have the ecosystem we set up. There's a fair few things to do. There's quite a lot of connective tissue. So that's why we go, right, we don't do a mindset module. Straight away, we're like, right, let's get something out there and start linking it all together. So that you actually have something tangibly and you can see how this is working. You have somewhere to send your leads to.
With our level 1 though, it'd
Yeah.
be too much for level 1.
Oh no, it's level 2.
I think
They're getting too much from us.
Yes, exactly. Gap space.
this is when you need to lean into, like, you're a guru. Look at the beard on you. Like, you're a guru, like, through and through. So you need to, like, I'm getting there. You need to leverage the distance with, like, that lower offer. Something very powerful, like your content, amazing. Like I'm sure most people in the room have like come across it. It's awesome. I think Instagram story strategy for you is whatever it is you teach these guys about how they're going to kind of like do the healing, whatever kind of frameworks you have, live that throughout the day. It's like, oh, I've done my morning visualization. I've done my morning breath work. Document, bang, it's out. And it's like stack posting your stories with the habits that you're doing throughout the day. Oh, it's nighttime, I'm winding down, I've got my blue light blockers on, I'm reading. And it's like, same shit every single day. But now someone's sent you a 1K, they're like hyper-focused on you. What's he doing? What's he doing? 50%. 50% of the impact you're gonna have is imitation from them, from a psychological level. It's just true. So how can you give them more value? And it's going to be giving your like audience who haven't paid yet value as well. How can you give them value through like copying you? And because they've paid, they'll pay more attention to your free stuff as well. Yeah. So you can do that as part of your stories. And it's like you're doing it anyway. Yeah. Picture, done this. These are the thoughts that came up. Done this. Yeah.
What if I have the sales gig and I'm disqualified or unqualified, whatever it may be?
Yeah.
What do you find the best way for them to actually stick?
That's an awesome question. So we actually have a framework for this we use, and it's like the same with dating. So when you're dating people, because you've had experience dating other people, you now have your green flags and you have your red flags. So actually pre-sales call, we have people being like, hey, this is like the green flags, this is who's a good fit. Look, if you're X, Y, and Z, it's probably not going to be interesting for us either. Again, do that afterwards. Right, you're a client now. This is a green flag client. And then bring out testimonials. So-and-so who did X, Y, and Z, who is now at 50K a month or is at 20K a month, these are the green flags. This is what they did. So-and-so, look, I'll be honest with you, like not everyone makes it. These are the red flags. If you fall into this way of thinking, X, Y, and Z, it's not gonna work out. Get that done right away, part of the mindset module perhaps. Green flags, red flags, and then your future pacing, like what type of identity it is you're looking for them to actually go on and continue to get results. So I would do that again at the beginning of the program, and every day in your marketing as well. Oh, these are my green flag clients, and just say it all of the time. You know, I'm not looking for this, and view it from like that dating lens as well. It's very, very powerful. And continue in your coaching calls, like, man, that's an absolute green flag. That's an attribute that they have. Constantly green flags. These are the green flags. Red flag there. Bring it up. Let it sting a little bit, okay? And then people can feel where they are, and they want to be like, oh, fucking love Brian. Like your YouTube videos are awesome. You have such like awesome mindset insights and stuff as well. They want to impress you. They want to like be liked by you and like give them the opportunity, as you would with like a good relationship. If someone's continuing to show green flags, you treat them better. You take them out to somewhere more expensive.
I literally said this morning.
You know?
Literally said this morning.
Give them more attention. You give more effort to them, and it's like incentivize those green flags through your program.
It's a feeling of them having something tangible to bring to the call that's theirs. Where, for example, if it's a type form, they're sending a form to me, and you know what I mean? Like, they don't have this thing that they can like study and come back to.
Okay.
Yeah.
But who's presenting that on this call then though? Who's presenting that doc on the call? Is it them?
It's not figured out.
You could do that with Notion, man. Like you could bring that into Notion. You could build out like a client hub, and then you just have a section which is like the weekly calls, and call it like the journal, call it like the Brotherhood Journal, And it's, they get that, they input that data, but make sure at the start of the call, like, hey, pull out your journals. What were you working on last week? Let them refer back to it, and then just get them to like duplicate week to week the thing and like give them autonomy over there. I think the thing, like, you're over delivering. Like, you're doing an amazing job. I think what's important for you, I don't know if you were here for the beginning of it, it was the 3 I's. So your infrastructure is fully in place. You've got great infrastructure. It's working. You've got implementation because you have the CSM who's doing all of this. Now, what we spoke about was 50% of people's learning is through imitation, okay? So they are coming to those calls prepared with questions because you have integrity. You're living it throughout the day, throughout the week. So you almost don't need to worry about like more touch points necessarily. It's like they have everything in place. Your integrity, it's done. It's like, it's there. I think for you, it's like the confidence of like, because they're not one-to-one with me, are they going to get that like bespoke impact? It's like, yes, because they're going to get it through you being integral and being the guru, like day to day. They are going to get it. And you have to have like confidence in that. And that comes from like you doing your own inner work every single day. That's what actually gets them the results. That's what actually makes you a good mentor. Continue to hold that distance, that high standard for them. That's where the real 50% of the impact. And again, all of this shit, like everything, group calls, course, we made it up. Everyone made it up. It's impact, guru, impact. That's it. What is the straight line? What is the quickest way where we can have the most impact? That's all we're optimizing for is
I think
impact.
the flip side, just to add to that impact point, we can't do one-to-one on the calls here, right? Because we don't have the impact. So it has an impact on the impact.
Yeah.
Effectively.
So like, a client had a sales call and calling well, they get a message from the lead after the call, it's like, hey, I think I'm going to move forward, we're going to like wait 2 months, just like a bit of a small string objection. Like they could get them over the line, there's needs.
You can get them to do a personality test beforehand. There's loads of free ones online, and they like doing it. It's like, cool, I'm this type of personality. And then from that, you have like 4 buckets, and you're like, oh, so you're, even if it's true or not, like at least they have ownership. They're like, oh yeah, I'm this. Oh, that's how I like to learn. Yes. Okay. So again, also with everyone in the organization as well, get people to do a personality test, understand where people's like zone of genius is, but get your clients to do it. They love it. They get to share it, and they're like, oh yeah, I'm this. And then you can put them in a bucket and be like, oh guys, if you're like more empathetic, this is for you. And then you can kind of position it like that. I say one more thing on, yeah, if you just literally type in like personality test, there's loads. There's one where it's got like some cool cartoon characters on that's quite interesting. 16 personalities, that's the one. Cool. I think there's one more thing this is something you can literally screenshot now. If you type in Bloom's taxonomy, if you just type that into Google quickly and pick up it will have a screenshot. So just did a podcast with Michael this morning, it actually came up. So again, a bit of background, I was a teacher for a while. At the same time, I was trying to break into the music industry as well. So I didn't have much time to actually like be a teacher. So I basically was winging it for like 2 years straight. I was like, how do I not plan any of these lessons? How do I just show up and like actually teach these kids? So there's this great idea that I took from education, and it's that the knowledge is already in the room. You just have to ask the right questions to extract it out of people. And this is what creates autonomous learners. So I don't know if anyone's got Bloom's taxonomy up, BLOOMS taxonomy. Okay, so what you'll see is there's different layers of questioning. We want to, if we're being a mentor to someone, we don't want a codependent relationship. We want to get them to the stage where they don't need to lean on us. And we can do that through questioning. So the first type of questioning is kind of like what and how questioning. It's recollection. It's like recalling knowledge. What did we do last week? Okay, cool. No one really learned anything. It's just memory. Now you want to move people all the way up to synthesis. Synthesis, that's creation. When you're synthesizing, you're like using the context, your knowledge, everything you have to find your own solutions. So if you look at the taxonomy here, it will go all the way from questions like what, how, then it's why, and then you want to add a different layer, why might, okay? A new scenario, and you don't want to tell them anything. Why might we do it like this? Come up with an idea. And you go all the way down to like how could, why might, why should. And you want to move people all the way from kind of like recollection, because that's just like, that's what like the education system thrives on, to be honest. It's like, remember this, test, remember this, test. No one's learning. No one really learned anything in school. But you want to make them self-learners, and you want to make all your students self-learners, and you can do that, extract the knowledge from them by asking better questions. How might, why could. who should. Like, you go all the way down to synthesis, and you want to get them, you have to kind of work their way up all the way down to synthesis. And try it with your coaching calls. Like, do a coaching call once a week and be like, I'm not teaching anything. I'm not sharing any knowledge at all. I'm not going to, any of my expertise, it's not coming out. I'm going to restrict myself to only questions. Ask the right questions, and then believe that, like, oh, so-and-so is going to have a good answer. I'm going to pair them with this person. Well, how might you do that? Okay, well, how could you implement that? And it's like, oh, and now we're throwing an idea around the room, and people actually have autonomy over that idea. They're like, that was my idea. I came up with that. Now I have ownership over it. Now I don't need to lean on the guru anymore. I don't need to ask them questions. Yeah, screenshot. Bloom's taxonomy is awesome. You can just literally on a coaching call have it up. And I would do it, like, I'd come in tired, 2 hours sleep, and I'd be like, right, Bloom's taxonomy. I'm like, what's the topic? Okay, we're going to put a title on the board, and I'm just going to ask questions. What's that? Okay, why might that happen? And you could just pull it out of the room, and you can do a whole lesson without actually, doing anything. So if you're lazy, that works as well. But it's really good, because the goal is to make people not lean on you anymore. You want to make them stand tall on their own, and you can do that specifically through questions. So that's a cheat sheet. If you're coaching, running group calls, literally have that open to the side of you. Bloom's taxonomy. Take a screenshot of it everywhere.